listening to Strides and Vibes. Whether you're on a long run, a lunch break, or stretching out with your foam roller, welcome to the podcast all about moving better, living healthier, and vibing higher. I'm your host, Mario Buchs, elite running coach, ultra-endurance athlete, and founder of Healthetica Coaching, coming to you from the trails, tracks, and streets of Gadigal country in Sydney, Australia. Each episode, I'll bring in guests from all walks, from coaches, athletes to world-class performers, as well as doctors and professionals in their fields, to unpack their stories and explore the mindset shifts, science, and practical strategies that help us go the distance in running and in life. So, lace up, tune in, and let's move towards a better you, one stride at a time. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Strides and Vibes podcast, or for first-timers, welcome. I mean, once you've listened to these podcasts here, I don't know if you're going to go back to any others. This is just the motivational stuff we do here. I would like to welcome Tuomo Vauhkonen from Tahiti, which I think is French Polynesia, correct, if I'm not mistaken. He's a health coach, lifestyle coach, runner, health freak, wellness guy. Yeah, kind of what we're all about here at Strides and Vibes. So, but I will hand over the word to Tuomo now. So, Tuomo, welcome to the Strides and Vibes podcast.
Thank you so much, Mario. I really appreciate the invite, and always happy to share and connect with like-minded individuals and coaches alike. So really happy to be here and share some ideas and insights and whatever comes out of this discussion. So yeah, thanks for the invite.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for accepting. And yeah, we'll as always, this will be quite free-flowing here. We don't do much scripting here. This is all about the lifestyle and the holistic view. But first and foremost, I ask every guest, Tuomo, who is Tuomo? What makes you tick?
That's a good one.
Tuomo Vauhkonen, eh?
So originally from Finland, I think you mentioned that already. I left home, or my home country, if you will, 2001, so a while back, and I sort of traveled and weed my way around the world, doing various things here and there, and lived in 9 different countries, from Galapagos Islands to Central South America and Europe and Southeast Asia and here and there. And then I landed here in French Polynesia about 10 to 11 years ago. And I like it here because it has an island style, has an island vibe, mountains and the ocean that I'm all about, outdoors and the lifestyle that I really want, but yet still has some of those European comforts that I also like. So this is a perfect mix and match of anything and everything that I want from my life at the moment. So that's kind of in a broad stroke what I've done. And also obviously now, as you mentioned, I do coaching online. Health coaching, yes, but right now I've sort of more focused on the performance side of things, and lifestyle is a big part of it. So I guess that's kind of who I am and what I do, and I want to incorporate those ideas and insights and principles, if you will, to the people that I want to support. So yeah, that's in a nutshell who I am.
Perfect. I think, we're all so busy. I mean, I hate the word busy really, but we're also occupied with things and snowed under. I think it's very necessary that one sees someone like yourself at least once in their life, just to get a different view, a neutral view, and get organized again a little bit, because we can get immersed in things. And I see it with myself. I've got too much going on at the moment. But yeah, we kind of weed through the things, and we just need to prioritize. So, and then I thought living in 4 countries and having 3 nationalities, I was special. I'm inviting someone who's been in 9 countries. That's awesome. So how's your French going? How's your, you speak well French?
Oui, un peu.
Because being Swiss, we get forced to learn French, of course.
Yeah.
Second national language in Switzerland. But actually where I stayed for a long time, where I lived the last time I lived in Switzerland, was bilingual, a town called Biel. So it's where all the watches are made, all the components for the watches and stuff.
Yeah.
No, awesome. Thank you. Very interesting. Yeah, it's people who travel the world's like everything. I have a daughter, she's 23, and I tell her, studying is definitely good, but I tell you what, Yeah, no, people know who've listened to this podcast and also the other podcasts I do.
Yeah.
I was a service engineer for over 20 years, traveled the world. Yeah, it's the best. It's just the best.
Yeah, there's
You
what.
learn so much.
Yeah, there's a one thing there that I may be able to touch up on, and something like I grew up in Finland, and I wasn't never super savvy with languages. Yet when I started traveling, you obviously very quickly realize that the English takes you around the world, but it doesn't really allow you to go deep into different cultures, especially living in South America, Southeast Asia, and places you get understood with English. But soon as you learn the language of the people and the country that you're in, that really allows you to dive deeper into the people. They open up very differently. They open up a different side of themselves, and that allows you to enrich the experience a whole lot more. And obviously you've been living in there because there's a huge difference of traveling somewhere and maybe having a vacation for 2 to 3 weeks even versus actually living there for 6 months to a year to a couple of years, and you're actually living side by side with the locals. They again open up a very different side of them when you're not a tourist versus you're kind of part of the local culture. So that immersive experience is such an enriching view of yourself as well. You learn a lot about yourself, and the language plays a huge part of that, because if you go there and you don't really make an effort to learn the language, and actually something that in the beginning of my days, I wasn't very good at. So, but once you kind of make that effort, it really allows you to learn a lot more about the culture, about the people, the ways, the habits, and the way that people, go about their days. So the language plays a huge part for sure.
Very true, and it's a respect thing as well.
100%.
It's all well and good if you think people like you, they need to respect you as well. And if you go to a foreign country, you're the foreigner, and I've been a foreigner all my life, really.
Yeah.
With my accent, you've got no chance. Even when I'm in Switzerland, people say, "What the hell? Every 17th word is English now." Because you're, So, but yeah, I think, and also the other thing. I mean, I've been in Africa, North Africa. I grew up in South Africa, and
Wow.
in North Africa, I worked when I was 21. And yeah, it's completely different. I think when I was 24, I counted to 10 in 20 different languages.
Whoa.
So just this whole, yeah, I mean, I grew up with 4 languages, so languages for me was easy. And obviously having a German background, there's already 2 or 3 other languages where you can get in. I understand Finnish is probably one of the hardest languages to learn, and then it'll also go the other way because grammar and vocabulary is completely different. Because I've been to Finland, I picked up 3 words, and I thought I was good at things. It was like, yeah. And then the word I learned, you only use in this sentence and not in the other one. So anyway, just going back a little bit, you obviously you're in French Polynesia, in Tahiti. You're a runner as well, because I want to just touch a little bit about your running journey as well. This is not a purely running podcast, but I do bring on people who like to put their running shoes on and go for a run. And I see your pictures on Strava, and I'm close to unfollowing you because your pictures are just too brilliant. If you're not in the water or out or on the beach, you're up the nicest trail. So yeah, just tell me about your running journey.
Yeah, it's interesting actually, because and thanks for asking, because I've been really reflecting that I'm going through a little injury, hopefully in the back end of the injury and coming out of it hopefully very soon. But reflecting kind of like when you're not able to run last 2 to 3 weeks, you think a lot, and it's really became sort of my deeper passion in the last, I would say, 2 to 3 years, and I never really realized that I was actually pretty good at running in a sense. Like I had a talent. I'm kind of tall and skinny, and I always have a endurance mindset and so on and so forth. But when I was a kid, let me just pull back a curtain so slightly. I was always good at running, but I never really liked it. Right. So I was always in the front of the pack when I was playing basketball and football and tennis, like everything that doing with endurance, I was always very good at it, but I kind of didn't like it. I had a bad view of long distance runners at that time from Finland, possibly. I think that was the thing, but I knew that I was good at it, all the way up to the fact that my basketball coach back in the days, when I was talking to him and I wanted to go and play basketball in the US and, in the universities, and he was kind of like, well, the basketball thing, well, do you want to try running? Because you're pretty good at running. And I'm like, coach, I want to play ball. I don't want to run. And I was gutted. And he was kind of pointing me to the right direction, yet I didn't really listen. And now in a hindsight, on a very 30-year stretch, had I listened to him, where would I be right now? Which is an interesting kind of thing to go about it sometimes. But I think the insight from there that I've been reflecting on, especially in the last sort of 18 months to 2 years, sometimes it might be better to do something that you're really good at instead of something that you like. And then once you start pursuing something that you're really good at, maybe then you develop passion to it. And maybe you really start liking about it. And that's kind of what really happened to me, I would say 2 to 3 years ago, coming, back into full circle, is I started pursuing running despite what I thought about it. Like, what was my image about running? Because I didn't really, think that runners are really cool. I didn't really that runners look good and this and that. I wanted to pursue things that other people thought that are cool things to pursue. But yet I wasn't really good at those things. I wasn't really goal focused. I didn't really truly enjoy them. Versus when I figured out, like, okay, let's put those things aside and let's do these things that I'm actually good at, and let's start pursuing that. And then I developed passion towards it, and I became good, and I found different circles. I found, like yourself, we connected because it became passion, and I was something that I was really good at, actually. So I know there's maybe a lot there, but the insight that I've kind of pondered on recently is that, is it better to pursue something that you possibly don't like, but you actually naturally a little bit talented, versus something that you might like and maybe are passionate about, but not really good at inherently? So I'm just going to leave it to that and let that simmer a little bit. But that's what I've realized, at least, that for me it was better to pursue something that I'm talented, I'm good at, instead of something that I'm maybe like. So.
No, I think that's a fantastic point. I mean, I was reading something about that the other day, actually, which direction one should go. If you're, I mean, I'm definitely not a talented runner. That's definitely my background. I just love it too much.
Yeah.
Saying that, though, I was a sprinter at school and stuff, but 80, 100 meters was more than enough for me, and I was very lazy on the football pitch. I was actually a talented footballer, but very lazy at running. That's why I never got to anywhere near serious. But
Right.
I took up running way too late, of course, but it's helped me a lot, and people know I've had a bit of a weight loss journey through it. And I think running is also a connection, and it's good for the soul and the runner's high. And we can list so many good things that can, that are good for us, good for the soul. I always say, a run might seem tough when you get out of bed at 4 o'clock in the morning. The first couple of Ks are a bit, But then it's like when you finish, it's just you tick another box. It's like, I've done something already, and the day hasn't even started yet. Other people are still in bed, and all this positiveness. And then, I'm talking about the runner's high here. You can get into a flow state, and I mean, these are separate podcasts, on their own. But running gives us a lot. And looking at the history, though, Finland, 5,000 meters, the mile, 1,500 meters, 10,000 meters, back 60, 70 years ago, they ruled the world,
Yeah.
So there's definitely something in your genes there,
Yeah.
Being tall and skinny, or skinny is exaggerated.
Yeah.
You look like a runner, and that's perfect. You'll, and now you've taken it to the trail, I think, yeah?
Yeah, so that's
come off the road a little bit, gone on the trail.
Yeah, that's where definitely my running passion lies. Out in the forest, out in the nature. I'm anyways very much outdoorsy lifestyle, living very outdoorsy lifestyle, very much nature connected. And here in Tahiti, the road running it's not the best. There's a little bit of traffic, and it's not the most enjoyable, to be very honest. But the trails are amazing. They're pretty steep, a lot of up and down. But just being connected to nature out there, there's more oxygen available. There's we all know this. It's cooler out there, and you just really, through that connection to nature, it allows you to connect to yourself as well. And that's truly, to me, what the running is about as well. As much as it is about actually making the miles and putting something on Strava and letting other people, see what you're doing and maybe be an inspiration to others like yourself. But it in the deepest part of the running, at least to me, it is connecting to yourself and figuring out who you are and what you can do more of. And then after those runs, after we go out for the runs, like I'm inherently a better person to others, to my family, to my friends, to my colleagues, and to my clients, and so on and so forth. So there's so much more to it than just doing 12K per day or pushing yourself. It's just a lot larger picture when the putting all the pieces together.
I can only underline that. 2 lines, double lines, nothing to add from my side. That's exactly, yeah. One thing I add usually, every exactly this. The best thing for me as well is running. If you're fit and you're healthy, if someone calls me, let's say you say, Mario, I'm coming to Sydney. I want to run a 30K. Can you just come with me? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. This is why I run, and this is where this longevity thinking of mine comes from as well. Anybody can just call me and say, hey, mate, I want to run a marathon. Do you want to pace me? I'm not going too quick. Just come out. I'm not having to worry about is my body going to fall apart and all that kind of stuff. So I think the other thing as well with running is, and like you say, you're a better person and a better friend, better at work. You've got more energy. This you only understand if you do the part, if you actually do the running. You can tell this to people who don't run forever. They will not believe you because they've not done it. So that's quite normal.
Yeah.
So I noticed in you're also an author, which is something we've missed in the beginning, or a co-author of a book called Pathways to Fulfillment, which is a fantastic read, I have to say. And it's all about life coaches, which is fantastic. So I just want to delve into your daily bread and butter, so to say, what you do for a living. And then what fascinated me as well is that your part is obviously about the running part, the going into the ultra running sphere and understanding more about yourself. And I like the way you wrote it. It resonates so much with me. It's like when you're out there on your own, you're suffering a bit, which is great. Get uncomfortable. That's fantastic. We are always so comfortable, and I'm banging on like that. That's the only time I say I'm an evangelist, when I'm like, everybody's so comfortable. Get in the car, the aircon goes on. If it gets cold, we've got heat seating in the car, and we sit down as soon as we get to the airport and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We need to get out of this rut. And I think just your part, there's I think 15 authors in there or 14 authors, just your part, and all the others resonate with me as well, but your part was really well written. So just tell us a little bit about how this book came along, and then what you do for a living, how you coach, how this works.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you mentioned, it's a co-authored book, and I have a little chapter there. As you mentioned, it's a pathways to fulfillment. And when the person, the editor who put the whole thing together, he mentioned the title of the book. I was like, okay, I definitely want to be part of this, because fulfillment is something that is deep into my coaching practice as well. I'm not really someone who's chasing quote unquote happiness. For me, there's a difference between happiness and fulfillment. And for me, I suppose there's a saying that I said the fulfillment is the end game that I want to play. Like in the end of every experience, and in the end of every human experience, there's an emotion, and the emotion that I'm after, and I look for my clients more than anything, is fulfillment. Not really so much of happiness or satisfaction, if you will. Fulfillment is that deeper underlying sense that you can kind of sit back and watch what you've done last 6 months, last 5 years, whatever, and it's like, okay, now I feel good, I feel fulfilled, instead of I feel happy. I mean, happiness is kind of something that goes up and down throughout the days and throughout the weeks, whereas fulfillment is more kind of that deeper underlying sense of calm and peace that becomes from those achievements and the milestones that we're hitting. So that's what I'm after, and that's what I wrote about in the book as well. And obviously then we all have different ways to get there. Maybe for us it's running, and maybe doing these crazy ultras, and but everybody's got the different way to get there, and that's where the coaching comes into play. Then it's all fine and dandy to get inspired of what you do or what I do, or my type of lifestyle or yours or somebody else's, but then we all have different principles, different ways, different habits to get there. And yes, you can get there sometimes on your own, but that oftentimes is a lot of trial and error. Yet if there's a coach, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a mentor, it doesn't have to be a coach. But obviously that's what we do, and that's what we're passionate about, and that's what we want to promote. But if there's someone in the next to your ear, kind of back of your neck, kind of like reminding yourself, like, stay with the process, keep focusing on the process instead of the goal, for example. That's one of my sort of principles. Or maybe changing your mindset, like, hey, let's look at the positive instead of the negatives. Because once we're in it, for example, even for myself right now, I'm going through an injury. When you're deep in it, you're so kind of encaved in the experience that it's hard to see the changes of mindset, for example. And I think that's where we all need great friends. We need coaches. We need someone that kind of wake us up and say, like, hey, let's take this other path instead of this path that you've been on for the last week or last 6 months or what have you. So the coaching is absolutely a fantastic, invaluable tool, I think, for each and every one of us to use in order for us to get out of our heads, get where we want to go, reach those goals, or just be a better person, or just get better emotionally, whatever it is that we want to achieve and what a better. Because in the end of the day, at least for me, it's about growth and growth mindset, and the way we get there. One of the things is coaching, and I think if you're not using a coach or a coach-like person in your life, then maybe there's a reason to look into that.
I think that's a great point, because it's, yeah. I when I did my personal training a few years ago, certification 12 years ago with the Australian Institute of Fitness, there was a guy came in. He started a big fitness thing here, and it's still going. And he said to me, a good personal trainer has a personal trainer. And that's always stuck with me. A good coach has a coach, and then everybody should somehow be coached. But you're absolutely right. It doesn't have to be Tony Robbins personally, for $10,000 an hour. You're not going to get anywhere with him over 6 months other than being broke. But if you've got someone in your and ask for help. So the thing I had to learn as well is ask someone for help and say, hey, I don't know how to figure this out. Yeah, and I talk about this a lot, with being a service engineer, you had to figure it out on your own. You were on your own in a foreign country. That's just what it is, But I like this fulfillment and happiness. That's perfect, because I have the same when I say motivation and drive. Motivation is kind of, whatever, first 2 weeks in January in the gyms are full, everybody's full of motivation, but none of them have the drive. So I compare fulfillment with the drive, because fulfillment is there and it's deep, whereas happiness is kind of, it's more up here, isn't it? Happiness,
bubbly.
Fulfillment is in your whole body. It's in your trunk. It's deep, and the same is with your drive. I don't need motivation to go run, right? Because I already know all the 15 good things that come out of each run. So
yeah, 100%. Let me add something to that, because it's such a key point for like another one of my, I don't know if this is my quote or somebody else's, but I don't know whose quote is this, but I always like to say that motivation cannot be trusted. Do not trust your motivation. Trust the drive, maybe. Like, that's something that needs to be there. Like, motivation is like, whoa, one day you're motivated and second day you're not. Like I said, like, if you're motivated, that's great. Use it. Like, there's nothing bad about it. Like, it's great, but don't trust it. Like, it's not going to stay there each and every day, especially in those early mornings or, late evenings. Sometimes, the family goes to bed and it's raining or, dark out and nobody's out there, and, you got to lay up. So
it also takes up a lot of energy.
100%.
Motivation.
100%.
Right? And that's a problem. So you're going for your run. You've already used up, or you've already burned calories that you should have used to get you moving out and about. I mean, obviously we live in a region where darkness and cold is an issue. I always tip my hat. I have runners in Europe, in Northern Europe, where I'm like, wow, now, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, pitch black.
Yeah.
Every run's with a head torch.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time I wore a head torch. So all these things. So if they don't have the drive, You know,
Yeah.
just imagine getting motivated to go on the track 10 by 400 totally on your own in the dark.
Yeah.
Come on. If you run on motivation, and I like that, motivation cannot be trusted.
Here's a one tip for that I used, and again, maybe this is something that I picked up from someone else, and maybe you use something similar. But let's say like this is for runners and for running, but you can take this idea, this principle, and just use it for your business. Use it for whatever it is, for going to the gym or losing weight, whatever it is. Let's say that it's an early morning or late evening, and you need to go, or you want to go for a run, but you don't feel quote unquote motivated, and you're thinking about the whole 5K, 10K, 20K, whatever it is that you want to do. That's a huge obstacle in a way. That's too much. So instead of focusing that 20K or 5K, focus on putting your shoes on. Like, okay, that's the step that you want to overtake, is putting your shoes on. Just lace up. If you put your shoes on, that's the only thing that you have to figure out. And once, at least to me, when I'm not motivated, and I'm just like, okay, I'm going to just put my shoes on and see how it goes from there. Once you have your shoes on and you start walking, you started the momentum. You're in the momentum. And you're like, okay, now, like, what's next? I'm not going to take these shoes off. And, well, let's go for a walk at least. Let's see how the walk feels like. And once you're out and about, once you're out of the door, the rest is history. You're going for a run. At least in our cases. So
that's awesome. I'm just laughing a little bit because I've never used that one. I have some other tricks
yeah.
to use. But the reason I'm laughing, just imagine, right? The Strava you put in there. I put my shoes on.
Yeah.
And it's like a 22-second run, but then I gave up. So this is the thing. So we need to bring that to another level. We'll say, okay, you need to lace up. And if that's all you're going to do, it has to go on Strava. You didn't go for a run, but you actually laced up. And then let's see how much kudos.
Yeah, exactly right.
I think that's the next step we need to take.
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. These are the little things. It's like in a longer event, if you stand, I use look, I have to use the example of Coast to Kosciuszko here in Australia, which goes from the beach in Eden in New South Wales to the top of the highest point at 241 kilometers.
Wow.
If you stand at the start line and you're listening to Welcome to Country and you think about 241 kilometers, you want to turn around and jump in the sea.
Yeah, yeah.
So these are the things, you guys say, okay. So the other trick I use, in a tough race is I say I never give up at the aid station you're at. Give yourself the opportunity to pull out at the next aid station, and usually you feel a lot better. So but I love that one. I love this the thing. So just one of my last questions I have, because I'm just I love coaching.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you start with someone? Just someone comes to you. I know you've got the lifestyle. I've never done a lifestyle coaching, so I don't know much about it. I've done wellness coaching certifications and things like that. So how does this start? Yeah, I mean, obviously you ask a lot of questions, which is what a smart coach does anyway. That goes for itself. That speaks for itself. But how does the whole setup start? Just out of interest, just for the audience to understand.
Yeah, absolutely.
What a life coach really does, lifestyle coach.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have usually the people come to me through my online content. Especially the online, the people that I coach online, that they never met me in person, for example. So I have content on, especially on LinkedIn, and now a bit more on Instagram and a little bit on YouTube as well. So people get interested and maybe see what I do and how I do things online. And then they acquire maybe an introductory call, which is always free of charge. And we kind of see where we are, if the person likes my approach, and if I'm able to coach them. Because one of the other things that I'm very transparent about, I cannot coach everyone. And definitely there's only a handful of people that kind of fit my bill, if you will, my style of coaching. And then that's why the introductory call is right there to kind of see where we are and what are the goals, what are the obstacles the person has. So I always meet the person where they at, and really transparently say, okay, this is what I do, this is how I do things. Is that something you can see helping you to move forward? And then we kind of take it from there. And oftentimes I just like to look at, in the first call or the first session, I like to look at, very, very, keeping it very, very simple. I like to look at their dreams, and then I like to look at their fears. And that will tell you a lot where a person is and where they want to go. And I like to work with people that want to take it from where they are to further up. I used to do a little bit of sort of the emotional trauma coaching, but that's heavy for me, and that's not where my expertise lies as well. I touch up that if it comes out during the coaching sessions, but I'm more about performance, more about changing lifestyle habits, environments, the people that we surround ourselves with, and so on and so forth, and coach around those, coach around the insights, coach around the action steps and tools that helps people then to take the state and the situation where they're at to where they want to go. And the gap is obviously where the coaching happens.
I think listening to you now during the podcast, it's all about that journey, isn't it? It's leave something behind. You've got an end goal or an objective or a dream or whatever it is, something where we're going. But it's all about that journey. And on that journey, you need to surround yourself with the right people. And it's very, very interesting. You know, all the intelligent people that I talk to on a daily basis that have this coaching, mentoring, leadership within them. That's without using the word journey, it's always about where we're heading, how we're going to get there. Yes, there's going to be stumbling blocks. We're going to run on asphalt. We're going to climb some mountains. We're going to tumble down. We're going to trip a little bit. We're going to, you know, the stomach will go sour. We're going to have a headache. We're going to be sleep deprived. There's all these things that can be taken into account. But having someone there to just say, okay, simplify it a little bit. And then, yeah, I love that. That's really, really good. I think that's awesome. I think I'll have all your information will be in the podcast when I've finished and edited it anyway. So people, if they're interested and they're listening to this and they want to reach out. The other thing as well, I like the fact that you understand this is what I'm good at. You're not going to be a be-all to everybody, you know. And this is what I'm specializing in. And leaving the past behind a little bit sometimes, because there's not much we can change there. We can change the way we deal with it, of course, but I think the past is always... Yeah, I have the same when I have my runners and other people that I coach. It's like, yeah, you get an understanding of how they operate, and then you can just kind of... Okay, and that's what the coach is for. Otherwise, it's not personal coaching anymore, isn't it?
Yeah. 100%. There's a lot there. I suppose the last thing that if I wanted to add something to that about the past, because we all have the past, and you can use the past, as you mentioned, we can't change it. We can't, change it. Excuse me. We can't undo it. But what we can do is we can use that as a fuel. And that's hard. Like most of the people, especially the dark side or the negative stuff from the past, holds us back. That acts more like an anchor. But if you can cut the line for the anchor or either transform it into a positive fuel. And I'm not saying that's an easy thing to do, but that's definitely possible. And especially a lot of the top athletes are really good at using the negative as their drive, as their fuel. And we know this from the NBA players, basketball players, the Kobe Bryants and Michael Jordans, that when the audience is booing, they get even more fuel from it. When there's something negative in the press, they take it and they use it as a fuel to get even better. Maybe if you get fired, something happens that you have a bad coworker. How can you take that energy, because that's potential energy that can be used? You can let it either drag you down, or can you take that and use it as a positive fuel to do something good, to impact a positive change for your work culture, for your workplace, to be a better runner, to even make a better time in your next ultra or what have you. So there's a lot there, and it's obviously more complex than just in these few words, but there's a lot of potential there.
I mean, everybody has a story. Everybody has a history. I did a boot camp last year, a keynote speaking boot camp over 3 days. And we were destroyed deliberately in a safe manner, on day 2 or day 1. And then we presented on the last day. It was awesome. That brings me to the last subject. I think you're a TEDx speaker as well, right? Am I right?
Yes.
Did I see that correct?
Yes. That was a while.
Awesome. So that's on YouTube?
that's on YouTube. That's Why Lifestyle Matters More Than Happiness. And I think we touched up quite a few things about that talk. That was a while back. That was actually, I think it was 2017, maybe, if I'm not mistaken, here in Tahiti. So a lot has happened since that talk, but the principles are there. That's available on YouTube. I have a lot more content on YouTube as well right now coming out, fresh content as well. And as I mentioned, on LinkedIn, I'm active on LinkedIn, where I think we met on LinkedIn, and
I think that's where we met.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, and I've activated my Instagram a little bit, and so on and so forth. So once I get back into running and Strava, I'll super boost my my content even more. But yeah, thanks so much for.
Just look after that injury now, Tuomo. And
yeah.
Look, the thing is as well with running, and before we close here, I think you've got a lot of running in your bank. You know, it's always hard to go to a race where you think, oh, I could have done more, should have done more. But at the end of the day, it's amazing what the body can keep. I mean, I understand sprint. This is a little bit different. You know? It's a complete different mechanics, the way they operate, the energy systems, and so on. But when it comes to ultra running, yeah, it's there's a lot there. Even if you don't run for a few weeks, it comes back very quickly. And I mean, I'm a prime example, and I'm definitely no top athlete. You know, I'm happy when I finish in the top 20-25%. I'm normally quite happy. Sometimes I get to the top 15. I've had a few podiums, age group, and top 10s on longer events, but not nowhere near the elite level. But I had a bad year last year, and I still managed to run 100k in Taupo in New Zealand in a decent time. And it's like, and training was really bad. So it's like really, there was nothing there. There was no structure or anything. So I wouldn't worry too much.
Thank you.
A few weeks, really. Just and just get ready, get it healed, and then things will come. Because you've run for a lot of years, you're a natural talent. I wouldn't worry too much about it. I just feed the body what it needs and rest where you can, and start with walking when you're allowed, and that's the only thing. Yeah? So before I close, in the show notes, everything will be present. How people can get in touch with you and see what you're doing, because I think you're one of the most interesting people I have met in the last few years, and it's good. And a few things resonate, or a lot of things resonate. This traveled the world and having to adapt everywhere. I think that goes a long way, and that goes on a resume. That somehow goes onto a resume without having certification. But that gives you many more tools to operate with different people, because you're online. You can have people from America, from North America, from Scandinavia, South America, and you fully understand how to deal with people like that. So is there something else you would like to add before we close, Tuomo?
I suppose there would be a lot, because this is such an interesting, we could be discussing about all these things and insights, because as soon as you open your mouth, I have an aha and something else comes up, but I kind of have to hold myself back that I don't go over the time limits and so on and so forth. But no, thank you so much for the opportunity, and I'm sure maybe we will meet in one of these days sooner than later and go for a run together.
Absolutely. That's let's make that a priority, huh?
100%. We are not that far from each other, anyways.
No, we're not. No, it's like a bit of water in between and we're there. Huh? Perfect.
That's it.
I could do some island hopping, go to Tahiti, go to Hawaii, and then across to the States,
That's it.
If they ever let me in to run a race in the States in all these silly lotteries, I think that's the way I'm going to go. That's the direction I'm going to go.
Right.
Or on the way back to celebrate.
Good luck for the next big lottery. I think it's in a week time if you get to.
Yeah. 1 more week and then we'll know. Huh? All right. Thank you very much. Huh?
Thanks so much.
Take care. Huh? See you soon.
Likewise.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Bye. That's it for this episode, folks. As we wrap up, I want to honor the traditional custodians of the land I'm recording on and pay my respects to elders past and present. May we continue to listen, learn, and tread lightly wherever we run. If today's episode sparked something in you, hit that share button, leave a review, or drop a comment on Spotify or YouTube. Every little bit helps keep the momentum going. Or even if you've got a question, feedback, or just want to say hi, I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep moving, Stay curious and never forget, showing up is the hardest and bravest stride of all.